Hello, everybody, and welcome back to review of Time and Space. And I thought I would do something slightly different before we start reviewing the Dalek. It's 12 episodes, and what I've found is, I got a lot of. I've been a Doctor Who fan for a bit, and so I do have like some like other medium, but didn't have a lot. Then when I decided I wanted to do this channel, I thought, oh, I could get some stuff like the books and that for book reviews. And I thought, I got a fair amount of stuff here. Why don't I do this as like a here's what I have kind of thing? It's like spoiler there, but hey ho. And I think the first thing I will do is I will start with the CD. It's like the audios. So one of the things I had planned was I am going to do audio reviews. The good news is Big Finish have put a bunch of them on Spotify if you're in the UK at least. I don't know about elsewhere because I know it's different other places. But I know in the UK I've got the first 50 mainline ranges. So that's from Sirens of Time to Zagreus. Then I have the Eighth Doctor Adventures. I have the first season of Companion Chronicles I know about. I have the Lost Stories, the missing Colin Baker season. I want to say I have the same for Sylvester McCoy. I might be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that one. You have the Destiny of the Doctor, like box set, and I think you have something else on there. You have the Fourth Doctor Adventures. You have the first ones Tom Baker did when he came back. So yeah, you have a fair amount, and I was like, well, I wouldn't say to not collecting the physical ones, but I was doing right now ones I really wanted to do. So I've got three on me right now. These are of course An Earthly Child, The Return of Susan. I'm thinking of doing this with like a because I spoiler that I have another book that does address the first time the Doctor met Susan since he left her behind, which I know I'm not up to that, but I know is happening. So I'm interested in like maybe doing a compare and contrast of this and the other thing that explains the Doctor meeting Susan again. I think that would be an interesting one. This one I just got because it was in a charity shop and it was a fairly decent price, and I was like, hey, might start collecting these. This is a Six and Perry story, Memories of a Tyrant. I have no idea if this is good or not. I might be holding the worst or the best audio they've ever done. I'm not sure. It's not like the big one that people talk about. It's not like Skirts or it's Greyes or that kind of thing. And then I also got the Time Lord Victorious Mutually Assured Destruction. I got this one thinking, hey, maybe I can do a full thing on the Time Lord Victorious. Those are the audios I have right now. I'll probably be collecting more throughout this event. A bit of an unofficial. I got the unofficial Doctor Who question book. Might do it as a video, might not. I just thought it's tangentially related to what I'm doing here. Moving on to like the DVDs and that I have. I do wish to increase my Doctor Who DVD collection. However, what I need to do, like to watch the show. Well, right now I have a BritBox account, and I have like on BBC iPlayer and Netflix they have Doctor Who, like the revival. So yeah, I think I would like to collect more of these, but these are the ones I have off the top of my head. I have the animated faceless ones, which I heard is half decent. I'm interested in that one. I have the special edition of Enemy of the World, which I keep. For some reason, I keep thinking this is the last Patrick Charlton story. It's not. I know that's the War Games. I don't know why. But yeah, I'll. By the way, when I get to these stories, I'll probably be doing like the DVD version, just because I don't know, bit of a unique experience maybe. And the only Hartnell DVD I have is his last one, The 10th Planet. Because for like 5 minutes, I was like, ooh, maybe a fun thing would be I could collect the last Doctor story. maybe first and last. I'm not sure. I got the Blu-ray of the Time Lord Victorious Road to the Dark Time stories, which is basically it was like, here's the episodes you need to have information on for the Time Lord Victorious event. These are, of course, Plan of the Daleks, Genesis of the Daleks, Deadly Assassin, State of Decay, Curse of Frederick, Runaway Bride, and Waters of Mars. I think this is basically like, here's where the Daleks are at, here's what they need to do, and here's evidence of the Doctor being a dickhead. So, yeah. Like, it's a fairly good collection of Dalek stories. Like, these are probably like you've got some pretty good ones. I would have maybe include, like, I've not fully understood Time Lord Victorious, so I'm not sure. But when they were talking about like Dalek Doctor stories, and I saw Sylvester McCoy, I thought it would be Remembrance, but maybe not. I'll turn down the brightness slightly on this one because it keeps reflecting and it's slightly annoying. Still slightly, but it's not as bad, and you can't really tell a difference. I also got the 96 movie with Paul McGann. This probably will get its own review. Maybe in the timeline, I'm not sure. I got this because I had the movie. I've seen the movie several times. I'm going to say what everyone else has said. The interior of the TARDIS is one of the best designs ever. Paul McGann's incredible. He should have got his own series. And the music is great. I know, shocker. But I got the Blu-ray because I know there's a commentary track that has Sylvester McCoy, Nicholas Bridges, and Paul McGann, and I've heard some clips of that, and it's quite funny. So I'll probably give that a watch/listen to. Put these slightly to the side. Now, when I knew I started this collection, I knew I wanted this. So 10 years ago, that's scary. When they were celebrating the 50-year anniversary, one of the things they had done was they were like, hey, we're going to re-release a very important Doctor novel for each Doctor, that kind of thing. So for one, you've got 10 Little Aliens. I probably should have ordered this in another way. For two, you got Dreams of Empire. 3, you got The Last of the Grenadier. Grenadier. 4, you got Festival of Death. 5, you got Fear of the Dark. 6 had The Players. 7, for some reason, has, I'm pretty sure, the novelization of Remembrance of the Daleks, which I'm not sure why they chose this one for 7, because, with 7, you have access to the entire New Adventure novel range. You could do a lot of other ones. And, do the iconic one of Family of Blood. Done that sort of slightly better for the camera. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a reason. For 8, you have Earth World. 9, you have Only Human. 10, you have Beautiful Chaos. And for 11, you have The Silent Stars Go By. I really wanted that collection because I think it's a really fun thing, and it's and when you put the covers together and it's all the Doctors, I think that's a fun display thing. From one of the older ones to one of the most recent books that have come out, and one of the newer ones I got At Childhood Ends, Ace, done by Sophie Aldred, who is the actor who plays Ace. Nearly said the voice actor, mostly because my experience with Ace has been her in audio. I've not given this a read, but I know it's this and 13, and some people were like, when Ace comes back in Power of the Doctor, it contradicts this. However, some people are saying if you think of it like this, it doesn't. I'm not entirely sure. I know Ace's timeline is a mess. Isn't there 4 different versions of Ace? One becomes a time cop, one fights in the time war, one does nothing and that kind of thing. I'm not sure. I know she's a mess. I got the novelization of Daleks because I don't know why. For some reason, I thought episodes were missing of Daleks. but they're not. But I'll give this a read because something else I had planned on doing was like reading the novelizations of episodes, and then for special episodes after I've reviewed like that whole story is do compare and contrast. So that is why I also got the Target novelization of the Cave Monsters. Again, I know they've obviously it's iconic because they've recreated it. I don't know why. I like the slightly grayed out but with a lot of color of these Target novelizations. I think these are really fun. I got An Unearthly Child because I thought this was fun. It's I really like this. Yes, it's the only. I know there's probably other ones, but I feel like this is the Target novelization that's like the most unique off the top of my head. Also, the thing I wanted to do was I wanted to start collecting New Adventure event, the New Adventure series, because I never touched these books. I had no idea they existed because my Doctor Who was the Revival Doctor Who, so I knew it's the BBC books, but these like the Virgin books are so unique. So I got this one off The Pit, which I'm not sure if these are good. I've had some people say what I've heard about these are some of them are good, some of them are terrible, some of them are like very edgy and like, oh, we can write for adults now, so let's have them swear and die and have sex, that kind of thing. But I've heard like there's also some like mental lore in here, so I'll give these a thing. I got the two Timeless Victorious books, which was The Night, the Fool, and the Dead, and All Fool's Grash. I think these will be quite fun. I'm not sure. These I was like, it's a 10. Like these are two 10 stories, who for the longest time was my favorite Doctor, and this one is a 10, 9, and 8. Like that is quite literally my favorite Doctors. Because, 10's obvious, 9 I have a lot of love for, and 8 I've great gained an appreciation for. Okay, so this one I got for Christmas. So my family knows I'm a Doctor Who fan, and they got me the Terrance Dick collections, which is basically a bunch of his novelizations put together. The first, like for one, we have Dalek Invasion of Earth, Abominable Snowman, the Wheel of Space, the Auton Invasion, Day of the Daleks. And for the second one, you've got Genesis of the Dalek, Pyramid of Mars, Talons of Wayne Cheyenne, The Horrors of Fine Rock, and the Five Doctors. So yeah, I got the two Terrance Dick Essentials, which I think are really fun. I also like how they did it like in the way you do, important books. Like I've seen like Frankenstein re-releases this. I'm glad Terrance Dick gets the reputation he deserves. And this was one of, and when I decided I was going to do this, this was actually like the first thing I had bought for this, which was the novelization of Marco Polo, because I know as it goes is I've got the 12 episodes, which is more than I expected, of the Daleks, but then I have the 2 episodes of Edge of Destruction, and then we go into Marco Polo, who has no episodes. And I was like, well, just get the novelization and review that and do what I can to find it. I also, that's not it. I'll put these down there so we're not in the way a bit. I've also got some other ones. So for New Adventures, I've got Theatre of War with what looks like a weird, gooey robotic ace. Interesting. Okay, I got these because some of these were in a collection. Some of these were sold together. Like this one, I got the Elysium, which I think is a. No, I was going to say I think this is an Eighth Doctor. Just read about it, says it's the fourth in Nissa, so this is a PDA. I have no idea. It was just sold with it. New Adventures of Dissect with weird eldritch horror monster. Again, I know that's something they do in the New Adventure Virgin books. Again, the creepiness, like Strange England, but I think that's done on purpose. This one I got before I decided I was going to do it, Father Time, because I've heard about the Emperor, and I know he's mentioned in this. So I was like, oh, give this a read. This one I find funny because I've not read this book, but when I think of the New Virgin Adventures, it's this cover I think of Ace wearing the skin tight, like almost Black Widow outfit with the gun and that. Like, I know Ace goes through shit in these books, and I'm interested to find out what. When I was mentioning when I was doing the whole legacy, the earthly child thing, it was these I was comparing it to. War and Legacy of the Daleks. I know one of these is the Doctor goes back and meets Susan, and the Daleks like, oh, let's continue the invasion of Earth. I've not read these. I've heard they're very good, and I've heard these are like very lore heavy. So I'll probably have to wait a wee bit till I know what that lore is fully. Got the New Virgin Adventures of Iceberg. Again, it was in the collection. That was interesting. You have the Doctor Who Gallifrey Chronicles, which was like the last book of the 8 EDAs. Because if I remember correctly, this book came out in 2005. And what came out in 2005? The Ninth Doctor. And when he came out, they were like, no more 8 Doctor books, only modern shit. Which is something they've only recently stopped doing with like the Time Lord Victorious. But ever since then, all the books they've released have been like that. Which I understand why. I got this one because it was Love and War, and it was like, this is I don't know if this is the first one, but I think this is like the first appearance of Bernice Summerfield. And I know she is a big character in the Doctor Who extended media. She has her own audio series from Big Finish. And I know a lot of her stuff was taken and like mixed together and turned into the character known as River Song, who is simultaneously one of the best and one of the worst characters in Doctor Who history. So yeah, I think that's her first appearance. And then the next one I got was the Return of Robin Hood with Tom Baker, the Fourth Doctor. Because I don't know why they do these ones, but you got this, and then if you look at the back, you've got the Missy book and the 10 book, just like weird, like Arthurian legend books. I'm not entirely sure why, but I thought this would be quite fun. I like the cover of the Arrows in the TARDIS. Reminds me of that Capaldi episode. And I've got one more book. A book I actually had as a child. This is actually my childhood book. You can tell because it's slightly scuffed up in that. I didn't give this the love it deserved. If I had, I would not have been like this. But yeah, I have Doctor Who, The Legend Continues. This book came out in 2005 for the revival. And basically it goes, hey, I know you might be watching Doctor Who and you might think Eccleston is the Doctor, but here is this legacy. And I think this book was super important at the time. Because it's like, hey, here's stuff for the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth. This is like one of the first real official things of 8. Because I know for the longest time, certain fans did not deem the 8th Doctor as canon. There's that famous thing in the show written by Russell T Davies where it's like, oh, I can name all the Doctors. William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy. And it's like, you forgot to mention Paul McGann, and then they said he doesn't count. But yeah, that is all the Doctor Who like books and DVDs and CDs I own right now. If this channel becomes big enough, I might start opening a PO box and maybe doing auction. But I will start collecting more of this stuff, and when I have enough, I will do like an update on the whole. But yeah, I've been your Scottish nerd, and this has been Review of Time and Space. You know the usual YouTube thing: like, subscribe, share, da 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 da. You know, come on, YouTube's been around for nearly 20 years at this point, which is terrifying. But go on, you know the usual. Thank you very much, and goodbye.